Good afternoon and welcome to the Kat and Katie show, or for today, it's the Kat and Nikki show.
Hello everyone.
Today what we'll be looking at is ELICOS timetabling, and we call it ELICOS timetabling because we've specifically built this for all of our ELICOS clients and are still building it to meet their requirements. However, it can be used for any client. So what it is intentionally built for is when you have a student who's enrolling, and we call this rolling enrollments, a student who's enrolling into a course that you've created, let's say for January to December, and the student decides to enroll in March. And as they enroll in March, they continue with that class, but they roll over into the next year with the 2018 class. So for example, you might have 4 intakes in a year, but by the time you get to December, 4 intakes are all sitting in the one classroom. So in the one room, you've got intake 1, intake 2, intake 3, intake 4, all doing the one unit at the same time. And that's what we refer to as rolling enrollments. So you can enroll someone in January who joins an intake that already existed, and they kind of sit between 2 intakes, or the 2 intakes timetables. So that's what we're looking at today. Once again, we first created this feature for our ELICOS clients, so it does meet our ELICOS clients' requirements first, but it is a feature that's available for everyone, and it's a non-billable feature as well. So if you want to play around with it, just let us know, we can turn it on for you. But today we're going to do a nice demonstration on how to manage it. So Nikki's going to go through the demonstration. First, she's going to start off with some dependencies that you need to have. For example, you need to have qualifications and units. We're not going to show you how to create everything. If you ever wanted to go in to see how to create a unit, how to configure a qualification, or how to create a workshop type, these are all individual sessions that you can have a look at. Just so that session's nice and short and you don't have to sit through boring things that you already know how to do, this session will just focus on how to manage that timetabling area. All right. I'll be moderating for today and Nikki would be demonstrating. So enjoy the show.
Thank you.
Okay. So Nikki will just share her screen now.
Okay, so today, as Kat said, I'll be demonstrating the ELICOS timetabling feature. So with regards to the timetabling feature, there are some dependencies with this. So I'm going to be using an example for our ELICOS clients, which is a general English course. So just so that everyone knows what ELICOS stands for, it actually stands for English Language Intensive Courses for Overseas Students. So that gives you a bit of an idea. So what we will be doing is, first off, is we need to have qualifications in the system. So prior to this session, I've already set up some of these in our system already, so it makes our session run a lot more smoother. So under courses and qualifications, with a lot of general English courses, there is different levels. As you can see in the qualifications page here, there are the multiple different levels from elementary all the way up to advanced. And this is a qualification code that we've put up against this particular qualification name, sorry. And underneath this particular qualification, we have all the units. Now, with regards to general English courses, normally they're run for 50 weeks. As you can see, we have 50 weeks worth of units that we have set up. So, and then we've allocated those weeks, so those units, to each particular qualification level. Now, with regards to the, say, week 1, this week 1 unit actually relates and is the same unit that sits under pre-intermediate. So it's actually not, say 6, say if there's 5 levels, there's actually not 5 levels worth of week 1s and week 2s, etc. It's just 1 unit, but linked to multiple qualifications. Couple important things we need to remember is that we have a qualification name as usual. So if we go into the edit page, we can see the code, the name, and we've used a stream name for the levels. And then we've obviously got our units. Now we haven't got any course costs in here because we'll manage it at the student level, and that can be managed by finance models. We find is the easiest way for most of our clients. Quiet cost code is obviously generally important as well for RTOs to fill this in, especially if you're reporting to with your quiet costs. In my example, I haven't got one in there. But we can see here that we've got all the 50 units. We don't need any package rules because it's not an accredited course. I'm going to show you now the setup of the actual units because this is quite an important part. So if I go into this unit page, we can see the unit code and the name. And you can see that there are zeros before the number. So we've got week 01. Now, why we have that is because obviously A to Z kind of thing, sorting capabilities, is best to have the number with in front of the ones up until you get to 10. So it actually sorts in the correct order. So we have GE, which relates to obviously the qualification, week, and then the week number. And same with the name is just week 1. Once again, we don't necessarily need to fill out most of these details because it is all to do with accredited enrolments. But some RTOs may decide to use the unit of competency cost here so that it helps with the invoicing purposes. So we can see if we go to our units of competency page, if I just did a search for week, we can see that there is clearly 50 units or weeks sitting there in the system. There's not multiple. Some clients may need to choose or create multiple sets of units. So depending on your requirements, you may need to have different units for your different levels. But I'm just keeping this simple so that basically anyone can start in elementary, do say 20 weeks of general English elementary, and then move to another level and do several weeks at that level. And then it's all recorded against a contact record. Once you've confirmed all of that and you've got set up, obviously this is a bit of a complicated setup, so you may need some further assistance as well. So please let us know if you do need some help, but this sort of shows you sort of an idea of how to set it up. The other dependency for this is to have workshop types. Workshop types have been set up for each level once again, and using those particular codes and names, it just makes it easy to pull reports. So when we're timetabling, it's actually going to use the correct workshop types, and it makes it easy for you to be able to actually pull a report to see statuses of enrolments or the total number of, say, enrolments in a particular workshop type and things like that. So there's a few different advantages with having that workshop type pre-set up. The next step is we're going to have a look at setting up a class. Now, most of people will know how to set up a class and timetable, but with this new feature that we've developed, there is 2 new features in our timetabling window, which makes your life a lot easier. So we're going to run through how we do that. So I'm going to be creating a new class for our General English Elementary, and it's going to be running from January all the way through to December. So for the 50 weeks. Generally with the rolling enrolments, as Kat said, you might have 4 intakes a year, but you actually don't need to have 4 classes in the year. So if you had a qualification that lasted, say, 12 months, it took 12 months to complete, you could have your intake or your class set up for 2018, have the start date as January, the end date as December, and you can enroll anyone at any time throughout that 12 months, and the system will allow you to enroll them into that class, and then it will allow you to roll their enrollment over to the next year's class, which obviously means that you need 2018's class set up and timetabled. So if you had, though, a course that ran just for 6 months, but you allowed people to come in halfway through, then you'd have a class created for 6 months the start and finish date of, say, Jan to June, and then another class that starts in July to December. And then that way anyone that rolls in, say, May would run over and roll over to the next class at the end of the year. So I'm going to start up this class now. So I'm going to do General English Elementary. This particular option here doesn't matter so much because obviously you're not really reporting and issuing certificates. Well, you will be. So it's just generally going to be a statement of attainment. Going to report to national for, obviously, ELICOS always generally reports to national. We're going to just do a class descriptor of 2018 ELICOS example for today. Delivery modes, obviously still important, especially if you needed to report these students' enrolments. We're going to use a start date. I'm going to make the start date as Monday just gone. And then the end date is going to be December. And I'm approximating here 50 weeks. So I've missed a week at the start of this month. So there'll be a week off at the end of December. So we should hopefully be finished at 50 weeks on the 21st of December, because I'm saying that the weeks are 50 weeks long. Hopefully my calculation is correct. We're going to do the duration as, say, 50 weeks. Close days you'd leave blank. The course fee we generally will leave blank because we're going to manage the enrolments using the finance model. Selecting the trainer. At the moment I don't have a trainer set up in this system for this qualification. So I might just have to fix that one. So I'll come back and fix that up shortly. I'm going to now select all these particular units, which is all my 50 weeks, because I want to run these units for 50 weeks. We're going to submit. So I'm just going to go into my trainers list and I'm just going to quickly set up a trainer. Okay, so I'm just going to go back into that class. I'm just going to set my trainer now. So we can see all the units have been now allocated. So once we've set up the class, we now need to timetable. So I'm going to go back and edit that class now. I'm going to scroll down to timetable. First off, it takes you to the timetable view page. We need to go to the simple view page first. And we will now see a new little icon here, which is the clock symbol, which is in this 5th column. And this is going to be a little nice little quick friend that is going to make your life so much easier. So what we need to do is we need to say, when does week 1 start and when does week 1 finish? So I'm going to say week 1 starts on the 8th, which is Monday, and it's going to finish on the Friday. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the 12th of January. So I've set my start and finish date. Now what I can do is, because week 2 is going to concurrently run the following week, which will be, what would the date be? The 15th to the 19th. Instead of me manually doing that, I can actually click this clock once and it will automatically now set those dates based on the pattern I set in the first one. If I was to double click on the clock, it's now populated every single unit and say so-called week with the same pattern as above. So it's always going to have the start as a Monday, finish as a Friday. So we can see all the way through, and I'll see if my calculation was right. And yes, the 21st of December. Woohoo! So I got my calculation right, so I'm glad I can pass my maths test today. So the 21st of the 12th is the last day of obviously that class. So I put the class end date was correct. So that's really good. So it's done that nice and easy for me within 2-3 seconds. So what we want to do now is we want to tick this box that says timetable after saving dates. If I click now update schedule, it will take me to the timetable view page. And once again, we can see all our units and all the proposed start and end dates that we've set in our simple view. Now, the key thing to this page is that the first week we need to timetable. We don't select all the units. We just select the first unit. So I've checked that. Now we need to go down and click Create Timetable. On this particular page, which most of you probably be aware of this page, it's the same. It has not changed to what you are used to. But when we pass this next step, things will change. So on this page, we can select our session name. So I'm going to put the session name to be just the class name for now. But if you wanted to, you can actually put other, obviously, and then obviously that will show up in your calendar. But this option here is a newish or a new option with the ELICOS side of things as well, and this is a workshop type. So when you timetable a unit, the system actually creates a workshop type which is archived or hidden based on the unit code. So for example, if I wanted to make sure that every single workshop that is created is using the correct workshop type, I can make sure I select it here. Now I'm going to have a lot in here because I've actually used this account for other timetabling purposes. So if I type in elementary, I can say that when I timetable this, I want this timetable workshop type to be GE elementary. Otherwise, it will create another workshop type using GE week 01, which is my unit code. Okay, so I want it to say GE elementary. So we can select that. We're going to call it class name. And we can see that the start and end dates have been pushed through from our simple view. We now need to set our days. So I'm going to set my days as Monday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. My trainer is going to be David. Don't know what rooms I've used before, so hopefully the green room may have not been used. Let's jump a day and go. Let's go to Tuesday. And we'll do, I'm going to jump it down. I'm going to go to Friday. So I'm going to say that this is going to be a Monday, Tuesday, Friday set of workshops. Now the important part for this is we need to save the pattern. If you don't save the pattern, this is not going to work. So I'm just going to actually cheat and see what I've actually used previously. And I'm going to get some clashes. So to make this demonstration easier, I'm going to change these times to 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Oops, I've got AM, so that's a bit early. I don't think I want to go training that early either. 9 p.m. and hopefully we won't get a clash to make this easy. So I'm going to save this pattern now and I'm going to call it Monday, Tuesday, 4 to 9 p.m. Friday, 9 to 3 p.m. and it's DP in the green room. I'm going to save that pattern. Okay, that's successfully done. So now I'm going to submit that. And I'm going to have some clashes. So when we have clashes, obviously it's going to show us our clashes. We can ignore these clashes and continue all the way through, or we can fix them. Obviously, because this is my demo account, we're going to have some other clashes. So I believe you would have covered clashes before and how to resolve them in previous webinars. So I'm going to ignore the clashes for this webinar for now and continue through. So this particular option here is now new. So once we've saved that pattern and applied it to the first unit, this option here at the top says apply pattern, timetable appears. So what we're going to say is we're going to, yes, I want to apply this pattern that I've saved, which shows me the days and times, to all the rest of the units. So once again, I want to use my elementary workshop type and I want to use my class name as my session names. I'm going to then select the checkbox at the top so it selects all the balance of the units, and probably, and I've done this many times, I've scrolled right down to the bottom and I've clicked create timetable. Please make sure you don't do what I do sometimes, and do click apply to all checked, because this is very important. So let's click on that, click OK, and we're going to probably get these errors because we'll have clashes. So you can see that there's triangles, so it's showing me that there's clashes for these. If it has successfully scheduled these workshops, it will come up with green ticks. So I'm going to have to go back and change my timetable, because otherwise we're going to make this demonstration a little bit tricky.
Let's just press cancel and we'll create a new class with new timetables.
Okay, good idea. Yeah, let's do that.
Actually, can we show everyone here in this new area how will we fix that clash?
So if we click on this, that will open a new tab, which then allows us to modify it. So let me try Helen. Okay, and I'm just going to resave this pattern. I'm going to also have a clash probably in the green room, so I might just do boardroom. We save the pattern. Oops. So I didn't do my top half of the section. And now we'll save the pattern. And now we'll submit that. So that's going to timetable the 15th to the 19th. And let's click on submit. Oh, there's still time clashes.
Okay, let's create a new room, a new trainer. And we'll do that.
Yeah. Oh, Nikki's done. So we're going to, I'm going to put a new trainer in.
We're just putting new trainers in, and while Nikki's doing that, you can see what she's doing. I'm creating rooms in the background as well, so we can do a little bit quicker for you.
I'm just going to add Sue Blue as my new trainer. Okay, trainer and contact is done. We're just now setting up a new room. So while we're getting the new room set up, I'm going to go ahead and start setting up a new class.
So of course, when you are doing this, you would have already scheduled your year out, so you shouldn't run into clashes. But it is good that the system shows you those clashes, and it's great that we were able to, while it would be best to smoothly show you a timetable, it is good that you can still see when there's clashes, so that you know that the system will show those clashes and you can quickly fix them up. But realistically, you would have planned out your year and you know that there's no clashes and you're ready to put them into the system. So what Nikki's showing you now, we've created a brand new trainer, a brand new room, and we shouldn't run into any clashes.
Okay, so I'm going to submit now. Okay, so I've got all my dates in, I've got my trainers, now we can go timetable. So once again, we're going to go simple view. And obviously this is going to be actually probably a good example actually, because it actually shows you that I can just double click that and away we go and I'm done. I've done all my scheduling, I timetable, update schedule, and I select my next unit. My first unit I should say. I'm going to then create timetable. I'm going to select the elementary. I'm going to do my class name. I've got my start and end dates. I'm going to do Monday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. for Sue in yellow room. Perfect. Love the colour.
Nikki's wearing a yellow shirt today, so you can notice. That's what gave me inspiration, plus our green room. And we also have a room called the yellow room that we're in at the moment.
It all works well today, yes, absolutely. So I'm going to now save the pattern, and I'm just going to make this Monday to Wednesday, 9 to 3 p.m, SB and SYR. Right,
you can see that. Sorry, you can see the naming conventions that Nikki uses is very clear. I use some that say business courses, but you can see that you can, like Nikki did before, was that she was able to look at all her existing patterns, and she could quickly see that there was going to be a clash because she knew that she had those times that trainer in that room. So that's an excellent naming convention that I will recommend you use as well.
Absolutely, just makes it very visual and easy. So I've now saved that pattern. Remember, saving pattern is extremely important, otherwise the next step is not going to work. Now we're going to submit, so it's Monday to Tuesday. Voila, we've all got green boxes and we've got no clashes. So what we can do is go confirm all dates, and now we can apply that same timetable pattern as we said. Make sure that we do the type. Select the class name that we want. If you wanted to use something else in that, obviously you can. I'm just using a simple one by using class name. I'm going to select all the units. Once again, don't scroll right down to the bottom. We need to stay at the top and click on apply to all checked. It says, are you sure? We go okay, and guess what? We've got all these lovely green ticks that are going through. So what it's actually doing is actually looking at those dates, scheduling the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday workshops between those start and end dates. And that's what it's telling us. It's done it because there's green ticks. So once it's completed, which is in about 10 seconds, at the top, we can click refresh this page. And now it looks like what you'd be used to already, and it'll have the like locked in dates for you, and they don't look like in the grey sense, they're all in black. So now we've now successfully quickly created a timetable. We've done the simple view, we've scheduled it, we've timetabled it with our pattern that we've chosen. So what we can do now is if we go back to our class, we can now scroll down and we'll see all the weeks that have been workshopped, all the start and end dates, and we can see our little spanners, which means they've been workshopped. Hovering over will tell us our name. If we go into the calendar, which I'm just going to go into a new tab here, and I'll go to my calendar, I can now see obviously my first attempt to the ELICOS demo for today, but you can also see the new one that I've done as well. So this one that I just did successfully was the one that's called 2018 GE Elementary ELICOS. And we can successfully see it's there. We can also see what room it's in as well, or our trainer view. So that basically shows you the changes to the timetabling functionalities. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop out of this class that I've created, and I'm just going to go into a pre-made class I've already have in the system, and it's a business course. And I'm going to demonstrate how you'd create an enrollment that has workshops attached to it using the rolling enrollment feature so that you can enroll anyone at any point. So we can see here there's a couple classes created, and there's one class called Business 2017-18 Cohort. The start date was last year in November to this year in November, so it's a 12-month course. And the next one starts basically a week after the previous one finishes. And it goes from the 28th of November this year to December next year. So I'm going to have a look, and the first thing I want to check is when the next unit start date is. So the easiest way to do that is I go into the edit symbol of that class. Because with the rolling enrollment feature, it will only work if you enroll someone at the start of the next unit start date. So you can't enroll someone halfway through, like between these sets of dates.
So for example, I'm pointing with my finger, no one can see that. This 3rd of January to that 16th of January, that's where we currently are at the moment. We're midway in that week. So Nikki's saying that we won't be able to enroll anyone in this week. We have to enroll on the 17th of January.
Correct, yes. So what I do is I look at the next unit. So if you didn't know your timetable or the next unit start date that the student needs to start in, then you can go in and cheat by looking at this. So we're going to remember the 17th of January 2018, and I'm going to enroll this student starting at this unit. But it doesn't have to be the immediate next one. Like say, for example, the student's on holidays and they can't start till the 28th of Feb. Then that's fine, but as long as their commencement date is the 28th of Feb. Okay, so I'm just going to use the 17th. So I'm going to go back to my matrix. I'm going to now enroll. Who can I enroll that's not already in this class? Let's enroll Caroline today. So we're going to enroll the contact. We can see straight away that the commencement date has picked up the start date, obviously, of the class, which is not what we want. And there's also this new little option that has appeared on our right-hand side, which is part of this new ELICOS rolling enrollment feature that actually comes up saying roll over lapsed units of competency into future class schedule. So the system has already recognised that Caroline cannot start in November last year because it's past. So it's giving you the option to have a look at what those units are in the past. So if I hover over, you can see, if I hover again, there's a few units and start dates that go green. Hopefully you can see that. So straight away I can see, okay, you know, they in the past, I need to roll those units over. And straight away as well, like another way of looking at when we need to enroll the student in is by looking at the dates here. So we can see the 17th of January here as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my commencement date to the 17th of January. And I'm going to choose rollover elapsed. I'm going to then select the next cohort or class that is after this class. So obviously I don't want to do the 2021, I want the 18-19 cohort. It's giving me the qualification name, the start date and the end date of that class. So what it's doing is actually going, I need to look at these units that were in the past of this enrollment, look into the future class units and look at the workshops that are attached to those units and book them onto those workshops, not the workshops in the past. So I'm going to click done. So now my expected completion date has changed accordingly because you can see that this unit has now changed. All these, say the first 4 units have now changed according to the dates that have been set in the future dated class. And obviously it's changed my completion date for me as well. So what it will do, it will enroll me into this class and then into the workshops that are attached into the future class. So let's continue through. Obviously making sure you select the correct funding sources that is applicable, and we're going to then click enroll contact. On this next page, it's now giving you like that final last confirmation of what you're going to do. So you can see here that the first 4 units have 2 workshops, or that all of them have 2 workshops against them, but what we can see is there's a little link or a chain, and it's a broken chain, which means that it's just letting you know that this workshop is linked to another class, okay? Whereas if we look down at Div 301A, there's no chain because we're actually booked onto that class's workshop. If we were to change it, then obviously things change. But we don't want to do that because obviously we want to make sure that the system is doing that proper rolling enrollment. So we can see it's booking onto those future workshops and all the current workshops as well. So we're going to scroll all the way down and we're going to add units of competency and create bookings. In this webinar, we're not concentrating on finance side of things, but if you had a finance area, then you could have a finance model, for example, apply it to it, or a payment plan, etc. So I'm just going to skip over this. So now if I scroll down, we've got our commencement dates, our expected completion dates, all being populated through. We can also see all our correct units, and they actually go in the date order as well. So we can see all the workshops that are linked, and at the bottom we'll see those future dated units and workshops which are at the bottom. If we go into the future class, so I'm just going to go to classes and show you the future class, which is 18-19. We can't see any enrollments, and that's because those students that we've put in this year's class won't actually go into this class, they just attach to the workshops. So don't be worried that they're not physically in the class, they're actually attached to the workshops. So if, for example, we go into the update, and I think it was those first couple of units, so if I click on this workshop, we will actually see Caroline in there, okay? We just don't see Caroline against the actual class because Caroline is actually physically enrolled into 2017-18 class. That basically gives you, that's I suppose a wrap up now, that gives you an overview of how you would set up a course and a unit for a general English course, and then how you would use the rolling enrollment feature to enroll someone into one class and roll them over to the next year's workshop classes. Maybe in another session, we'll do another session where it sort of goes forward a little bit more as to how you could maybe manage that general English enrollment possibly, with adding the finance capabilities as well to give you the end-to-end sort of scenario. But if there's no other further questions in the session, that is a wrap from me. So thank you very much, and hopefully you have gained a lot out of that, and I'll pass over to Kat.
All right. So thank you very much, Nikki. And as Nikki was saying at the end of the session, is that all these other sessions that we have, such as how to create classes, how to create workshops, how to even do a timetable, we further discuss timetables, even managing your enrollments, are already sessions that we've developed. So you might want to look at all of those first, and then this will be something in addition. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can simply call us on our support line or send us a support request. Thank you.
Excellent. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.